What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zebec today. ZBCN USD. It is the second day of June. Here we are at about $0.0028 with 5 days, and it says 11 hours left in the week. It's closer to 10 hours. 10 hours, 24 minutes left in this day here. Again, hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it, okay? So here we are. A little bit of volatility over the past couple of weeks now, consolidating in this range. I like to call this a staging zone, right? We're staging for that next leg down. I wouldn't be surprised if this next leg down was a similar length to this or even a little bit larger. I'm not expecting anything like this yet. I think we'll get there, but not anytime soon. Maybe, maybe later this year, something like that. But for now, let's actually take this and measure. Let's go from a high to a low here, and then take this over and just see from a high to a low there. Look at how perfectly symmetrical that is. It's pretty damn close. So let's run with it. Let's run with this idea. We'll take that high there. We'll put it at this low. Yes, this is the low, but this is the low of the move, right? So we'll take the high to low there, and then we'll run with it. Let's say this is the high here. The next low should then, in theory, and this is not, don't always do this. This is not always a perfect way to do analysis. You can very well find support just here or right there. You could see some kind of larger move. Maybe we move up. You never know. But in theory, the next price area should be somewhere around 00242. We take the low here from February 6th to the high here from April 27th. That is right there at your 0.5. It's also right there at prior support, prior resistance here, prior resistance there, prior support area, more or less. Again, it's an idea. Maybe you find support just above it, maybe you find support just below it, but somewhere in that area, yeah, I could see it happening. Now, what I will say is from a low to a high, typically in this scenario where you find support at your 382, find resistance at your 236, you expect to go to the golden ratio. But this is kind of a secondary expectation to find support there. Sometimes you are a little bit more methodical with it. Sometimes you don't just go to the golden ratio, but instead you hit the 0.5, you go to the 382, and then you work your way down. Sometimes it is really just like this stair-stepping behavior all the way through. And that's how channels are formed, typically. We might be in the process of forming a downward sloping channel. So it makes sense then the next target could be around 00243, whatever, something like that, yeah. Let's look at the short-term stuff, and then we'll zoom back out, right? I do want to say, I want to talk about the long-term stuff because it's been a second since we talked about it. And I know that a lot of the Zebecians hate it whenever I talk about the long-term stuff because I have some very bearish expectations. We're going to talk about new all-time lows. Not just new lows relative to this, but new all-time lows. But we'll get to that later in the video, okay? I just want to drill it into your heads. So you have an opportunity to get the hell out way in advance. You've had multiple opportunities to get way out way in advance. 1 hour time frame here. And look at all these opportunities right above 003 that you had all this chance. Low to high, you take the fib. Golden ratio. Now typically you look to find support at the golden ratio, but you didn't. And now you're probably going to break through. Imagine here you found support. Here you found support, and here you're not. You're probably going to break through. That's probably what's going to happen. You're bleeding through the golden ratio. Down you go. As we go to the 786, 886, this is the next target zone. We zoom out here and we look. You're kind of breaking out of this range, right? You kind of are. You're still above this low, sure, but in the respects of this range overall, you will be at some of the lowest prices that you have seen throughout this range. And as you find support in this area every single time, it's getting weaker and weaker. I would expect a weaker reaction, and then you do get sent down. Perhaps you don't even find support here at all, and you just send it right through. Time will tell. Anywho, 1 hour time frame, looking at the indicators. The RSI is clearly bearish. The stochastics are clearly bearish. The MACD kind of has some bullish stuff going on. It's like your bearish momentum just died off entirely. But so is your bullish momentum. I don't know, it's tit for tat. It's kind of what you get with choppy sideways price action, and that's what we have. So bearish though overall. We look at the 4 hour time frame. The RSI is choppy sideways, as is the price. So it's kind of neutral. In bearish territory right here, your you're at the low ends of the range, it's not really that helpful. Stochastics are bearish. The MACD is crossing through the 0. That's bearish. Yeah, I do think we're going lower, my friends. I do think we're going lower. Daily time frame here. We'll look at the ribbons. We'll look at the ribbons before we get into the super long-term stuff. Daily time frame, you are forming bullish divergence, more bullish divergence, but you can keep coming down. We can see, actually, technically it's not bullish divergence because you do have a higher low. Once you get the lower low, then this is bullish divergence. But you can keep coming down. This divergence can go away. What if you get a deeper red histogram here? We've seen that kind of stuff happen before, so don't get too excited. Though I think a move down here to this area that we were expecting right around 0.00243, if you wick down there and you kind of close above, I think that would give you a premise for bullish divergence, and maybe you do move up from there. It might not be, in other words, even if you drop down to 0.024, it might not be your last chance to sell above 0.003. We might move back up there still. I think it would be hilarious. I'm not trying to laugh. I do think it would be hilarious if we had this, we moved down, and then we came back up and consolidated like this. We had like an inverse head and shoulders pattern just to break through. I think it would be hilarious. But I digress. Maybe it'd only be funny to me. Stochastics rejecting the 50, bearish. RSI rejecting the 50, bearish, bearish, bearish. You guys, not a good look. We look at the ribbon. Looking at the ribbon. The ribbon is about to cross. Do you guys remember the last time that it crossed? Let's see. Here it was. Here, oh, no, yeah, I guess, yeah. Here was the last time it crossed. You actually were at a low point and you found support. But this was the beginning of an overall trend that took you lower. Kind of disrespected here. Kind of got disrespected there. You crossed here and you found support again. Hey, the last 2 times you crossed down was actually good for you. So maybe here you dump, you cross down, and then that causes a pump, something like that. But still, I think it'll be the beginning of a move down. You did cross up here, and then you dumped. Wow, you're literally anti-ribbon stuff going on here. You crossed up here, and that was the top, and then you moved down. That's funny. So yeah, you probably do this cross probably comes with a dump, but then that'll be like your relative low, and you move back up immediately. We'll see some volatility here with Zebec over the short term. Maybe. I don't weigh on the ribbon too much, but maybe. Weekly time frame, you wanted to cross up, you did cross up. You're probably going to come back down, though. It doesn't look good, man. Doesn't look good there. All right, let's talk about the long-term stuff. Let's talk about it. You've rejected your overbought zone. Stochastics look bearish beyond all belief. You're not looking good at all. The MACD is at the 0, a perfect place to reject. You've got a perfect formula of bearish rejection going on right now. I'm speaking to the people who are deliriously bullish. If you are bullish here, you need to take a look at the charts because the weekly time frame is not bullish. Even without the indicators, as you moved up, you had no volume on this move. The only good thing that you had going for you, and it's really not a big deal. It's really not that cool. The only big thing that you had going for you is that you broke out of this. But guess what? You're back below the line. Here's the deal. For anybody who was super bullish because we were above here and you thought we were going to go to new all-time highs, if this line is what dictated that, guess what? You can't cherry pick. Now you're below that line, which means you were wrong, which means you're going to go down. Or does this line not matter? And if this line doesn't matter, then that means this pump above this line didn't matter. We already knew that. We already know these lines don't matter. We already know they have no effect. And in fact, there's a little bit of a wick on the upside here. I can pull this line up a little bit more. We are below this line. They matter to some degree. In my opinion, they matter in the sense of anytime you're above them, this is a great time to sell. Anytime you're below them, right? If we have this trend line here, let me just draw it like this. Let's see, hold on. We draw it. We've got like this trend line here, all these lows coming in. Anytime you're below it, every time you were below it was a perfect time to buy within this range. They're there to mess with you, right? You didn't do anything here. You see, you break above this line and you think, oh, we broke the downtrend. No, you didn't. Low or higher, lower high, lower high, lower high. You didn't break the downtrend, no. And a lower high begets lower lows. That's what's going to happen, okay? You take this low, you take this high. and you went all the way up to your 236, bravo. It's quite the feat to accomplish to go from your golden ratio to your 236, but you're going to come back down. When you hit the golden ratio once, you expect to bounce, typically in this area, but you went a little bit higher. When you come down the second time, this is typically the time that you break through. And again, I do believe from here we'll find support around 0024. I don't think that we're one fell swoop going to move down here, but in time, you should see lower prices. It is possible, against my own personal beliefs, it is possible that Zebec finds support here at the 786, 886 area, and that this is your bear market low. What that would mean is that from an all-time high to your bear market low, you're seeing anywhere from like an 83 to an 87% drop. It's pretty stupendous. It's a pretty magnificent re-entry point right there. Statistically speaking, and I dare you to go through any crypto that's been through one full bull market and one full bear market. Statistically speaking, 99% of them, over that even, drop probably like 99.5% or more, drop more than 90%. And really most of them drop like 94% or more. 94% happens to be right around this 1272. Now, let's go back to 90%. 90% itself takes you literally right to your all-time low area. I would think that after all this and then working your way down, if you got to your all-time low, there would be some capitulation, there would be some selling pressure. Maybe you find support just below the low, maybe you see a little bit of a deeper dive. Whatever the case may be, I'm under the belief that you will see new all-time lows. I'm not saying that because I hate Zebec. I was bullish for new all-time highs for most of this range, right? We were bearish here, we got bullish down here, and then even as we came down, we were still bullish, and that was right for a time, and still bullish here, that was right for a time, and ultimately it was wrong, it failed. But we were bullish here, and what did I say back here? I said this is the worst time to sell. And if you hold, it might be a month, it might be a couple months, but if you hold, you will likely have an opportunity to sell somewhere in the middle of this range, which is exactly what happened. And then for months I was bullish. For months I was bullish. And then as soon as literally to the day that we got the high, I said, that's it. We're going down. The top is in. And I've maintained that stance since then. There's been some times where we got a little bit excited, but still maintained the stance that this was the high overall. I'm saying this not to do a victory lap, not to be like, woohoo, look at how right I was. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Being right, being wrong, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're making money, that's what matters. You can be right more than you're wrong and lose money. You can be wrong more than you're right and make money. It's all about risk management. It's about making money. It's not about being right or wrong. I'm not trying to brag. What I'm trying to say is that I don't hate Zebec. I'm not a hater. I don't want to see this thing drop. That's not why I'm calling for it to drop. I want to see it go to $100 because more of you would make money, and that is more important than my own vanity. But the reality is, I'm making the call that you're going down from here for a reason. I'm making the call that you're going to see a lower low from here for a reason. I'm making the call that you're going to see new all-time lows for a reason. We're in a bear market. We're in a Bitcoin bear market. We're in a crypto bear market. In the bear market, from a high to a low, 99.9%, at least 99.5% of cryptos see over a 90% drop. Maybe Zebec is special. Maybe it doesn't see a 90% drop. Still likely goes below this low. Still likely sees phenomenal dropping from here. But likely it's not special. It's special in its own way. I'm not trying to hurt your little feelings, but you know what I mean, right? It's not, they're all the same. They all behave the same. And in a Bitcoin bear market, which we're in, sad to say, this is a perfect time to get out. Even at the base here of this little topping area, it's a perfect time to get out. Mitigate your losses. Preserve your capital, preserve your cash, so that whenever it comes time, you can buy more. I love Zebec. I think it's a great project. I think the community is robust and vibrant, and you guys got a lot going for you beyond just the community, but that's a special thing in itself. We'll see how well the community sticks together when you're at the all-time lows. I plan on buying. I'll be buying down here. A lot of the people who bought up here, if they haven't sold by then, I have a feeling I'll be buying from them. A lot of the people who laughed at me every time that we were at the highs and I said we'd go lower, actually, to be fair, up here I did think that we were going to go higher, but this high at least, and this high at least, I'll probably be buying from them. I'm not saying this because I hate Zebec or because I want it to go down. I'm saying it because the charts say it. And I'm just the mouthpiece of the charts. I'm a little chart monkey. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. We're going to climb down the tree. Hit the like button, subscribe. Big red banana coming your way. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, this probably doesn't happen in a week, right? I had a bunch of people, when we were at the high here, I was saying, hey, we're going to go to new all-time lows. 2 weeks later, they're like, how'd that all-time low call come out? You think we're just going to do that in 2 weeks? That's not. We did this pretty quickly. That wasn't 2 weeks. That was like 5 weeks. And we're probably not going to move down in 5 weeks, maybe 5 months, maybe something like that. Talk to me at the end of the year. Let's see how it goes. I would expect that we are below this low and probably even below these lows sometime by the end of 2026. Okay? That's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take time. It's going to tease you. You're going to get depressed. Then you're going to get excited. There's a chance. Then you're going to get depressed. Then you're going to get excited. There's a chance. Then you're going to get depressed. Then you're going to get excited. There's a chance. Maybe there's another chance. And then you're going to get depressed. That's crypto, right? Isn't that how it's been working this whole time anyways? That's exactly what's been going on. Literally just like that too, right? You broke out of your trend. You broke out of your trend maybe. And then you don't. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.